Om Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Soni Masaji, for doing the Mangalacharan so beautifully. Today we have among us Nikhil Prabhuji. Prabhuji's come all the way from London. Prabhuji started practicing Krishna consciousness at the end of 2015 after studying the Bhakti Shastri course at the Manor. He then became a member of the Manor Ashram in 2018, where he stayed for roughly 3 years. He spent his first 6 months in the ashram doing full-time book distribution. After that, he served in Krishna Wisdom, which is a team which preaches Krishna consciousness to the Westerners. He now lives outside the temple, but he's still engaged in various services for the Manor and for the School of Bhakti. His regular service before living at the temple was Sacred Street Party, a group of devotees who go to different locations every Saturday to do kirtan and distribute books and prasadam. Now that he has moved out of the ashram, he has resumed this service. So Prabhuji, that would be a really good resource for us, and you can tell us how to do these street parties. So thank you very much for volunteering to join our small group here. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we read one text every day. We've been doing that non-stop since the last 3 years. We started with the Bhagavad Gita, and now we have graduated on to Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhuji, today we are on Canto 1, Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is the prayers by Queen Kunti, and the text for today is text 39, Prabhuji, and I'll hand over to you. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined the group and are about to join, and then Prabhuji who will later see it on YouTube. Hare Krishna. I hand over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for the introduction. So yeah, I've got some slides for today's verse, which I will share on the screen now. 1 second.
Prabhuji, we are able to see the slides.
Okay, great. Okay, so as Mataji said, we will be discussing today Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, text 39. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Sorry, Mataji, do we normally have devotees repeating the Sanskrit verse afterwards, or I'll just read it and then carry on?
Prabhuji, we can say it once. So because of time, we don't
Okay.
recite it 3 times. So first you can recite, or you can recite the first line and then we can all recite. But everybody's mics are off. So
Okay.
except for mine, because of the time lag, and it disturbs everybody then.
Sure.
So I'll leave my mic on and repeat after you the Sanskrit. But everybody is doing it on their own.
Okay. Neyam shobhishyate tatra
Neyam sobhishyate tatra
yate danim gadadhara
yate danim gadadhara
tvatpade ankita bhati
tvatpadrer ankita bhati
swalakshana vilakshitai.
swalakshana vilakshitai.
Okay. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
So translation: O Gadadhar Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. So I've just split the purport in half so we can discuss each part. So I don't know if anyone would like to read out this paragraph.
Do we have any volunteers? Anybody would like to read? Otherwise, I can read the purport.
I can read Mataji.
Yes, Victor Prabhu, kindly read.
There are certain particular marks of the feet of the Lord which distinguish the Lord from others. The marks of a flag, thunderbolt, an instrument to drive an elephant, umbrella, lotus, disc, etc. are on the bottom of the Lord's feet.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu, for reading that. So this point that the Lord, He has certain markings on His lotus feet. It's very important that it distinguishes the Lord from others. So we have certain criteria which is explained, that if you want to know who is God, who is the Supreme Lord, then there's certain criteria which you can see. So, and also there's so many people who claim to be God. So also you can see, do they match these criteria? So one of these things is that the Lord or His incarnations, they all have certain markings underneath their feet, and also not just any markings, but these markings are all explained in the scriptures. And also we know the Lord performs very uncommon pastimes. So again, Srila Prabhupada says in his classes, sometimes people say, so many people say, oh, I am God. Then Prabhupada says, okay, if you are God, then lift a huge hill with the little finger of your left hand. And he said, obviously they cannot do that. So this is another way to prove that someone, whether they're God or not. But yeah, today we'll be focusing specifically on these markings on the feet. So a few of them are mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. So on the next slide, I'm just going to look at picture of all these markings. So I found there's several pictures like this you can find on the internet, on ISKCON Desire Tree and other places. So we'll just go through this quickly. We won't go into detail for all of them, but we can see here, if we start with the right foot, so Lord Krishna's right foot, and we have sort of just maybe not so clear, but just below the big toe is the shape of a barley corn seed, and you see number 1, and then number 2 is the chakra, the disc, and number 3 we have lotus flower, then 4 we have the elephant goad, which, you know, those who are driving the elephants, they would be holding this in their hand. Then we have the thunderbolt, the Vajra, number 5. Number 6, we have a victory flag. Number 7 is the umbrella. Number 8 may not be so clear on the screen, but there's like a slightly curved line going down the foot. Sorry, down the sole of the foot. So this is the Uddha Rekha. Then we have at the bottom, we have 4 swastikas, we have 4 jaman fruits, and we have this kind of 8-pointed star shape, which you can see is made of kind of 2 squares sort of put on top of each other, forming this 8-pointed shape. Then on the left foot, so we have these 2 circles which are representing Akash, you know, the sky. Then we have conch shell, number 2. Number 3 is an unstrung bow. Number 4 is the hoof print of a cow. Number 5, we have 4 water pots, which are surrounding a triangle, which is number 6. And then below the triangle, we have a half moon, crescent moon. And then at the bottom, we have a fish. So yeah, so these are specifically the symbols or markings that we have on Krishna's lotus feet. And if I'm not mistaken, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well. And then we also have Srimati Radharani has different markings. Nityananda Prabhu has different markings. But yeah, as I said, we'll just be focusing on Krishna today. So yeah, so we won't go into so much detail on these, but I also wanted to look at some more very nice points that Srila Prabhupada has given in his lectures. So he actually gave 2 lectures on this particular verse, but before that, we'll just finish off the purport. So would anyone else like to volunteer to read the second half of the purport?
Prabhuji, I can do it.
Sure, thank you, Mataji.
Offered by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. These marks are impressed upon the soft dust of the land where the Lord traverses. The land of Hastinapur was thus marked with while Lord Sri Krishna was there with the Pandavas, and the kingdom of the Pandavas thus flourished by such auspicious signs. Kunti Devi pointed out these distinguished features and was afraid of ill luck in the absence of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. So first here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that wherever the Lord goes, you know, he's walking on the dust, and then these markings become imprinted on that dust. So then those devotees will obviously, you know, they come to the Dham, they visit the Dham, then they see, well, at least the pure devotees, they have that spiritual vision because they have love for Krishna. They can see, even today, you know, for example, in Vrindavan, you know, Krishna is always traversing across Vrindavan, he's always walking on the dust of Vrindavan, even today. And the pure devotees, they have the vision to actually see that. So even today, they can look at the dust, they can actually see, the markings of Krishna's feet there. So, and in this particular pastime, we are talking about Hastinapur. So similarly, wherever Krishna was walking in Hastinapur, again the ground, the dust was marked with these symbols. And Kunti Devi, it says here that she was afraid of ill luck in the absence of the Lord. So this is the point, that wherever the Lord is present, there can be no misfortune, there can be no inauspiciousness. Wherever the Lord is present, then it's fully auspicious. All opulence is there, or wealth or glory, everything is there. So Kunti Devi, she's basically saying that this is okay while you're here, but as soon as you leave, then what will happen? All of these things will go with you as well. So, and it was saying, while Krishna was there, we can see how the kingdom was flourishing simply because of Krishna's presence. Now, Srila Prabhupada, he talks about this point. If we just first of all go back to the verse where it says, because the kingdom is marked by the impressions of Krishna's feet, so therefore it is beautiful. So basically, because of Krishna's presence, it is beautiful. And same we can say for our own lives. So Prabhupada is saying in one lecture in Los Angeles that Krishna in the center, everything becomes beautiful. And that can be done at any time. Krishna is always there. Simply, you have to invite him. My Lord, please come and be in the center. That's all. Everything will be beautiful. So Srila Prabhupada here is basically making the point that if we make Krishna the center of our lives, then our life will also become beautiful. And it's a very nice point to meditate on, especially during Kartik, because especially during this month, everyone is trying to make Krishna the center of their daily activities, and the devotees doing extra devotion activities during this time to make that extra effort to bring Krishna in the center of their lives. So it's a very nice, a very beautiful point to think about during this special month as well. And then Prabhupada, he goes on to say, because here we're talking about Krishna leaving. So then in relation to that, Srila Prabhupada is discussing, did Krishna leave Vrindavan? Did he not leave Vrindavan? He's discussing this point. So he says, in the Shastra, it is said, Vrindavanam parityaja napadam ekam gacchati. Krishna does not go even one step from Vrindavan. He doesn't go. He's so much attached to Vrindavan. Then we see that Krishna left Vrindavan, went to Mathura. So how is that? He went so far away and did not return for many years. So this is a very important point that we hear many times, said that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. He never leaves all his pure devotees in Vrindavan. And specifically, we also hear that he can never leave Srimati Radharani. Again, this is high level topic, but this is Kartik month, which is presided over or ruled over by Srimati Radharani. And this point is that Srimati Radharani, she has so completely bound Krishna by her love within her heart. She has completely bound Krishna's lotus feet within her heart. So it's simply not possible for Krishna to leave Vrindavan. And then Prabhupada is saying this point. He's saying that no, Krishna actually did not leave Vrindavan, because since Krishna left Vrindavan, all the inhabitants, the gopis, they were simply thinking of Krishna and crying. That's all. That was their business. Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, Radharani, all the gopis, all the cows, all the calves, all the cowherd boys, their only business was to think of Krishna and cry. Absence, separation. So this is the point that we hear so many times about love in separation, and how in separation from Krishna, that love becomes even more powerful, even more intense. And this is what the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the Vrajavasis, this is what they were experiencing. And Srila Prabhupada is listing some of those devotees here. And to a non-devotee, or from an external point of view, it doesn't seem like a very nice situation. Everyone is just crying. Krishna is left and everyone's crying, that's all. But as we know, in spiritual life, for the pure devotees, this separation is transcendental. It is actually blissful. So externally, it seems like they're simply being sorrowful. They're simply lamenting. But from a spiritual point of view, this is all actually blissful. All these transcendental emotions that they're experiencing, they're all blissful. So they're feeling so acutely Krishna's separation, and therefore they're constantly thinking of Krishna, and therefore, they're not actually separated from Krishna. Krishna is always there within their heart. And just wanted to give a bit more explanation of this point. So I just got this paragraph from the Krishna book. So this is Srila Prabhupada describing this in chapter 46, which is entitled Uddhava Visits Vrindavan. So I just wanted to read this paragraph. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that when Krishna was starting for Mathura on the chariot driven by Akrura, and the gopis were blocking the way, Krishna assured them that he was coming back just after finishing his business in Mathura. He told them not to be overwhelmed, and in this way pacified them. But when he failed to come back with Nanda Maharaj, it appeared that he either cheated them or could not keep his promise. Expert devotees, however, have decided that Krishna was neither a cheater nor a breaker of promises. Krishna, in his original identity, returned with Nanda Maharaj and stayed with the gopis and Mother Yashoda in his bhava expansion. Krishna and Balaram remained in Mathura, not in their original forms, but in their expansions as Vasudev and Sankarshan. The real Krishna and Balaram were in Vrindavan in their bhava manifestation. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that actually the original Krishna and Balaram, they never leave Vrindavan, as we mentioned earlier, but they expanded into, Krishna expands into Vasudev and Balaram expands into Sankarshan, and those are the forms that remained in Mathura with Vasudev and Devaki. So then it talks about this bhava manifestation. So, we know bhava is that ecstatic emotion, that ecstatic loving feeling. And this is how they were present. Like we heard previously, they were basically, they were present in all the devotees' hearts all the time. So we also say that this is their unmanifest form. So they remained in Vrindavan in this unmanifest form. So that, externally it seems like he's not there with them, but actually he is there within their hearts. This is their bhava manifestation. And then again in Prabhupada's lecture, he talks about this point. He says that Krishna can be felt, Krishna can be present more acutely in separation. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, to love Krishna in separation. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in separation, Govinda Virahename, Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahename. Shikshashtaka, verse 7. So he was thinking that everything is vacant without Govinda, without Krishna. So everything is vacant, but Krishna consciousness is there. So again, this point that Srila Prabhupada likes to make, that we are following the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis. And Srila Prabhupada says, they never said, oh, last night I saw Krishna, last night I was with Krishna, I was performing pastimes with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says that, no, they never say this. They always say, you know, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where are you? Where is Srimati Radharani? Where is Lalita? Where is Vishaka? And similarly, this is in the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, that one of the verses that is kind of describing this, that, you know, they're just running around Vrindavan, and they're just in this ecstatic mood, and they're just wondering, where is Krishna? Where are you? Where are you? You know, are you there on Govardhan Hill, or are you on the banks of the Yamuna River? Where are you? So they're just simply absorbed in this mood of separation. So they feel that the whole world is vacant, but still, because they're fully Krishna conscious, they're fully absorbed in Krishna. So at the same time, Krishna is right there with them in their heart. And then, yeah, so in the same lecture, Prabhupada says that Krishna cannot be absent from a devotee when he's too much absorbed in Krishna thought. This is the process of Krishna consciousness. So this is the other side, that externally he's absent, but actually he's not absent, because the devotee is fully absorbed in thought of Krishna, in love with Krishna. Then how can Krishna be away from such a devotee? So then Prabhupada says that the so-called philosophers and scientists, they are trying to see God in their own way, and it is being supported by rascals that you can find out your own way to see God, but that is not possible. You cannot see God in your own way. You have to see God by God's way, then you can see him. So again, like we're describing, how we're following the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis. So again, they weren't saying anything like this, that, yeah, you can do whatever you like and you can see God. No, we have to follow the authorized process that has been given to us by the Acharyas, by Srila Prabhupada. Then we can actually Krishna. Otherwise, by our own, Srila Prabhupada says elsewhere, we can't just demand in a challenging mood that, where is God? Show me God. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to also approach in a humble, submissive mood, not in a challenging way. Otherwise, you know, you cannot see God. So also I think also in that same lecture, Prabhupada gives an example, like if there's a big personality, like a president or a king, or so, you know, someone like that, you can't just easily see them. You know, there's a process you have to go through, you know, like there's a secretary or someone, you know, you have to actually go through someone. You can't just immediately meet such a high-placed personality. So what to speak of God himself? You know, it's not so easy. So Prabhupada goes on to say that the world is full of rascals and fools. Therefore, God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, has become a vague idea. Otherwise, if one wants to see God as Kunti Devi is requesting, that you remain always, then one can keep God always within his heart. He's always there. Therefore, we have to apply it as it was done by Maharaj Ambarish. Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanuvarnane. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 9:4-18. So I just included that verse as well, so we can just see what Srila Prabhupada is referring to. So there's actually 3 verses together, 18, 19, and 20. So here it says that Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. In verse 19, that he engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples, and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulasi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. And in text 20, he engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord, 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. So I highlighted this sentence about, engaging all his senses, because that's basically what these 3 verses explaining, going one by one, explaining how he used each and every sense in relation to Krishna in various engagements related to the Lord. And here it said that this is the way to increase our attachment for the Lord. So again, this relates to this month of Kartik, because especially in this month, we're trying to increase our attachment for the Lord. That's exactly what we're doing. So here it's given the practical explanation, so many different ways that we can actually engage our senses in absorption on Krishna. So this is we can do so many of these kind of things. For example, using our words to describe the glories of the Lord. So we can tell others, about Krishna. That's one thing we always say, that we share Krishna with others, so we can describe the glories of the Lord. We can also, obviously one of the most important things, using our ears to hear the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. So basically hearing Krishna Katha. For example, words spoken by Krishna is Bhagavad Gita, or about Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we can hear these things, we can read the books, we can hear the classes from Srila Prabhupada and other devotees. We can go to the temple, see the deity of Krishna, smelling the fragrance there, engaging our tongue to taste prasadam. So many things are there that we can do. And try and increase as well in Kartik month. So then I said earlier there's 2 lectures, so I just got just a few short points from the second lecture that Prabhupada gave on this verse. So this was in Mayapur in October 1974, and I just got a few points which kind of focus on Kirtan actually. So Prabhupada says in this lecture that if we try to keep Krishna, so everything will be opulent. There will be no scarcity on account of Krishna's presence. But how Krishna will be present? Krishna is already present, but his presence will be more and more appreciated by this Kirtan. So Srila Prabhupada at this point, he was talking about Kirtan, and he's saying that, we always say that Krishna is, already present in the heart. In his form of the Paramatma. So he is already present in everyone's heart, as he also says in Bhagavad Gita himself. So what is this point about making Krishna present? But this is that he's there, but we can, in our materially conditioned state, we can't even perceive that Krishna is right there in our heart. He's right there, so close to us, but we can't even feel it. So how can we actually appreciate his presence within us? Through Kirtan, through glorification of the Lord. So, because also when generally for the living entities in the material world, he is present as Paramatma, as I said, but for the devotee, for the pure devotee who has bound Krishna by their love within their heart, is actually present as Krishna, not just the form of Paramatma, but Krishna himself. then Prabhupada goes on to say later in this lecture that not only that Krishna personally was present 5,000 years ago, but if we are sincere devotee of Krishna, then Krishna is present as soon as we glorify him. Tatra tishtami yatra gayanti mad bhaktaha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also becomes present when there's real offenseless kirtan. So saying as soon as we glorify him, obviously sincerely, then Krishna becomes present. Just like we always hear when we're chanting the holy name of the Lord, the holy name is non-different from Krishna. So therefore, when we're chanting the holy name, Krishna himself is present there. But then Srila Prabhupada is specifically saying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he is present there when offenseless kirtan is happening. So, making the point basically how powerful this kirtan can be, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself becomes present there. And then continuing this point, Prabhupada says, wherever Krishna's pure devotees are there, and when the pure devotees chant, Krishna is there. This is the secret. Tatra tishtami narada yatra gayanti mad bhaktaha. This is from the Padma Purana. So if we keep ourselves pure devotee without any other desire, material desire, then you should know that Krishna is present there. So yeah, Srila Prabhupada is making this point crystal clear that it's referring to pure devotees. So what does that pure mean? It means without any other desire, any material desire. Just like if we go back and we saw the example of Ambarish Maharaj, that he was indeed Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. Before that, it said that all his desires in serving Lord 24 hours a day. So basically, all the time, he is simply thinking, how can I please Krishna's senses, not my own senses? So this is what a pure devotee does, basically. This is a pure devotee. They're completely free from all material desires. So, we may not feel, oh, I'm not a pure devotee yet. So then, does that mean, Krishna is not present there? So obviously, as we said, Krishna is present in his holy name anyway. So he is present, but like we said before, we will not be able to appreciate and perceive that presence of the Lord. But the more pure our chanting is, for example, in kirtan or japa or whatever it might be, or if we're reciting some bhajans or something, the more purity we have, then the more we'll be able to perceive Krishna's presence. So even if I'm sure devotees experience sometimes in kirtan or wherever it might be, that sometimes we get kind of small glimpses or small experiences that we feel, oh, Krishna is here. We feel something. There's something different here. There's something special here. We get a bit of that higher taste. So we may not experience it all the time because we may not be a pure devotee. I mean, I don't know. There may be pure devotees on this group. I don't know, but we can still get those glimpses. Sometimes they say that like a free trial. That Krishna gives us that little taste now and then, just to keep us going, and keep us remaining in Krishna consciousness. So sometimes we may experience that to a small degree, but pure devotee, obviously, they're experiencing all the time, 24/7, that they're with Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was never separated from Krishna at any time. Even though externally he left from the ultimate point of view, he left Goloka Vrindavan, and then he also, during his pastimes in this world, he left Vrindavan to go to the west, but ultimately he was still never separated from Krishna at any moment. So yeah, I think that is, yeah. So that's all the slides that I had. So so I didn't really have. I know Mataji mentioned about Kartik, so I didn't have anything so much prepared about Kartik. I did mention a couple of points during this about Kartik. So basically, we can say, especially because in Kartik we're hearing about Vrindavan pastime specifically. So if we go back to, sorry, 1 second. So yeah, this point about, we talked about how Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, how Krishna is so bound by the love of his devotees that he never wants to leave Vrindavan. You know, if he is experiencing such incredible love from his devotees in Vrindavan, why would he want to leave? So, and similarly, in this way, this point about being bound by love, as we know, it's so relevant to Kartik, how Krishna was bound by the love of Mother Yashoda. So we hear that similarly in Kartik, what are the devotees trying to do? They're also trying to bind Krishna within their heart, just as Mother Yashoda bound Krishna. So this is what we're trying to do. And we already mentioned in relation to the example of Maharaj Ambarish, there's many different ways that we can do that. It's not just there's one way. So, you know, we may be drawn to, so some devotees may be drawn more to kirtan. So then, you know, you can do more kirtan. Some devotees, they love to read, so they can read more. So whatever helps us best to focus on Krishna during this month, you know, let's try and increase that. And we don't have to do, you know, we also make vows during Kartik, but we don't have to do a huge vow, which we then struggle later to keep, and then we feel, oh, how can I do this vow? And then we stop doing it after a few days. We try and increase our devotional activities, but in a way that we can handle, because yeah, we're all trying to do this from a devotional point of view, not that I have to do so many of these things every day, and it becomes like a chore. But yeah, whatever way we would like to increase our devotional activities, we can do that during Kartik. Or if we, on the other hand, if we want to, you know, give up or reduce something, some material desire or something, some material activity that we engage in, and we feel like, oh, this month I want to reduce that, then we can do that also. So many different ways. And then obviously, on top of all those things, we always hear the most important thing is, as much as we can, we offer a lamp or a candle, or, you know, offer a light to Krishna as much as we can during this month, ideally every day. And also we can recite Damodarashtakam every day as well. So these two things are kind of like the primary things that we always hear. But in addition to that, you know, as I said, we can do so many other things. But I'm sure everyone is familiar with the pastime, so probably we don't need to go into the pastimes of Kartik month. So anyway, that's all I had. So I don't know if anyone else had anything to say, or any questions or anything to add. I don't know how these classes work exactly. Mataji, maybe you can explain.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yes, we then now move on to comments and questions. Okay. And if there are any comments and questions, kindly unmute and ask your comments, your questions or comment. And as devotees are thinking of various questions, I'd like to thank you, Prabhuji. It was an excellent class. It was so to the point, and thank you for sharing the picture of the Lord's feet, because we all know, and there's a lot of information on the internet, but these pictures were so clear, and you went through each and every one. I didn't even know about the line. I didn't know about the kernel. So it really helped me. And now I look at the Lord's feet picture with more attention. So thank you very much. And Prabhuji, I also liked it when you said that, my Lord, please come and be in the center. I mean, it's so natural. We should be thinking like that, but you emphasize that. And in this month of Kartik, I think we can all meditate on that. So thank you so much for it. And Prabhuji, I didn't even know about the Bhava manifestation. I thought Shri Krishna left Vrindavan, but thank you for emphasizing that point, that he never left Vrindavan. And then I think Sri Radharani and the gopis are teaching us to be in this mode of separation and love in separation, and we pine for our loved ones more when we are separated. When we are with them, we take them for granted. And I think thank you so much for making that point, and then also for quoting the various other shlokas from the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.18 to 20. And as it is in our philosophy, chanting and glorifying the Lord, Kirtan, we can feel his presence when we do that. So fantastic points, Prabhuji. You made it so simple and so palatable. I personally really enjoyed the class. Thank you so much. We'll now open to any questions. Are there any questions or comments? Mataji, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I
Hare
just
Krishna.
wanted to also add to what Kirti Mataji was saying, all the lovely things we learned. But one of the points that really was outstanding for me, I kept wondering why, of all the pastimes of Krishna, why the binding of him was the one that was chosen in this month. And even today, I asked my good friend, who is very knowledgeable, why that particular pastime. So it was so nice when you explained it, so simple. It's because Mother Yashoda was trying to bind Krishna, and we are trying to bind him as well with our love for him. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, all the points that I mentioned, they're all just from Srila Prabhupada. So it's not really me emphasizing those points, it's Srila Prabhupada. Pretty much the whole thing was just quoted from Prabhupada, because if we follow what Prabhupada said, then we are safe, we are secure. We know that what we're saying is bona fide. But yeah, thank you so much. Anyone else would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, on the chat, Divyesh Prabhuji has requested, is it possible for you to kindly share the slides of this lecture?
Yeah, sure. Shall I send it to you, Mataji?
Yes, and then I'll put it on the group, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. When you are discussing the different marks of the Lord's lotus feet, I'm sure it signifies, each signifies something for us. So, I mean, for another class, maybe can we have the significance of each and every mark, so that we can understand those as well. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, there are explanations. I don't know if there's. I was looking before during the week if there's explanations, right? So I think I found for most of them, but yeah, it wouldn't be able to fit in this class. But yeah, maybe at some point we could look into that more.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we are binding you to give us another class. Are there any other questions or comments? I know we are almost going to exhaust our time, but we still have 8 minutes, 7-8 minutes. Hare Krishna. Urmila Mataji.
No, it was a very good class. Nikhil, you should come again. I'm Chandrika Ben's friend.
I know.
Urmila Ben, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Urmila Mataji.
I'm now able to see the connection. So I didn't know, Prabhuji, that you are Ajay Prabhuji. You are related to Chandrika Mataji and Ajay Prabhuji.
Yes.
Okay. Very
Actually,
well.
Kirtika, a long time ago, I wanted to suggest his name to you, that he gives a very good class.
Thank
Prabhuji
you.
gives a very good class, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for recommending him. And we really have a gem amongst us. So thank you, Prabhuji, for coming and imparting what Srila Prabhupada wants us to learn. So thank you so much. And Srila Prabhupada has his mercy, and he sends devotees like you too. We are just very novice people over here. We don't know much.
Me too. Me too.
And so thank you for simplifying. We sometimes don't even understand the purpose because of the way Srila Prabhupada writes. So thank you for simplifying it for us. Thank you so much. Any more questions or comments? There are no more questions or comments, Prabhuji. Then can I request Arya Govind Prabhuji to kindly end the session?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji, for explaining so nicely, as Mataji, explained that it was a very nice class. I mean, taking from the Lord's lotus feet, markings on the Lord's lotus feet, explaining each and everything, and also he touched various points that Prabhupada had mentioned in his purports about Ambarish Maharaj, and how we can serve with all our senses, and then all our desires can be dovetailed to Krishna, and then makes Krishna, as I was said, to keep Krishna in the center. Prabhupada really wanted us to do it. Thank you so much for churning out all those points, like one who churns the milk to get the butter. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I request all the devotees to unmute and then chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once in glorification of His grace, Nikhil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama,
Hare.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
His
His
grace.
grace, Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you for the lovely class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you,
Thank you.
Arya Govind.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.